there's a lot within organisations that is the kind of systems that hold organisations back, systems in the broadest sense. And probably the thing that's most pernicious of all when it comes to transformation strategies is the structures that exist around financial planning and investment planning. A business case that says we will deliver this thing with these outcomes at this time frame is the antithesis of what organisations need to be able to do to really take advantage of emerging technology trends, ways of working, ways of interacting. So it's not about the technology, it's not necessarily about the people, but it's about the culture and the structures within the organisation that have enabled it to work but maybe are not fit for purpose anymore.
So it's probably not different to any kind of change in a business, I would argue. And the difference, I guess the challenge is understanding the degree and pace of change these things take, because as businesses we have cycles, we have shareholders, we have customers, and we need to sort of follow that cycle, which is typically an annual cycle. Transformation takes multiple years. So how do you understand the ROI and manage a business that has short-term expectations that needs longer-term change? There's a reason why CMOs are in roles for less than 2 years, right? Because actually they're paid on short-term change, so they do short-term things. Whereas transformation, the nature of digital transformation or transformation in general, is these things are going to take longer because actually human behaviours take longer to change. And that's one of the biggest challenges I see is managing expectations about the projects we run in terms of the level of change it makes in the business, the level of people change, the level of process change. And the great thing is technologies like SaaS and others are the change agents, if you like, right? They're great because they drive a difference in what you're currently doing. But then when you blend in the people, the process, and build new structures around that takes time. It takes time to go through that process, and that's time that's not often given by the executive board. So that managing that strategy, that change process is probably what I see as one of the biggest challenges.
Hiring is very important. As of this year, we have the first centennials working in companies. People are at 2022. So now we have centennials, millennials, Generation X, and a certain percentage of the baby boomers, like 5 generations under one roof, delivering value into a company. And the dynamics of these different generations are very polarized. So companies that are poised to be dynamic and digitally savvy and really preparing themselves for the future, they need to understand that what each generation brings to the organization is a set of skills and attitudes and mindsets that they need to leverage rather than fight them. It's not about making square pegs going into round holes. It's accepting that there is multi-disciplines, multi-skills, multi-attitudes. In fact, your employees are like a petri dish of who your customers are, because they are normal human beings, only that they work for you. So human capital must be very, very present in the CEO's agenda. And also how to interact with your customers digitally. Right now, everybody expects you to be on Facebook, have an Instagram page, have a very good Twitter account, well managed, and this is how people see you. But above that is your product. How you choose to communicate the product values. How really good is your pricing strategy? How good is your customer service? How do you interact with your customers on Twitter? Most people are using Twitter as the customer service. Something goes wrong and immediately, hey waitress, So it's about having this approach that most of your customers will contact you digitally. You need to be able to interact with them digitally, even if you're selling offline goods. And most especially is how you bring people in the organization that will be digitally savvy and yet be happy to create non-digital products, for example.
I think think the biggest challenge is addressing people's needs. People are going to be affected by the change, and they need to have their needs really considered, because if change is imposed on people, they will sometimes get anxious and they may resist change. So there needs to be an understanding of what the implication is going to be for them. Now, often a digital transformation program creates new opportunities for people. They get to learn new skills and new ways of working, and that's a very positive story. But sometimes they might worry that they're going to have more work, or that they might even lose their jobs. So you've got to find a way to address the people side of the digital transformation program.
I think that the biggest challenge is actually a cultural challenge. In thinking about the digital transformation strategy, many companies will say, kind of incrementally, how do I improve what I have? And, so in some sense, they're preserving the past and incrementally evolving the business. I think, the opportunity is really to rethink it. And I think that's where the disruption from some of the new competitors comes into play. And large companies really need to emulate that same kind of what if thinking outside the box.